Okay, wonderful people. Let us try to continue with our work. So, we have been looking at uh, collection base, and I think we have understood thoroughly what is happening in there. And now we are going to shift our focus on the dictionary. We will be looking at the dictionary now, but I think it is very important that we always get the notes so that we understand exactly what we are trying to deal with. So we read, they say, instead of implementing the iList interface of the collection base, it is also possible for collections to implement a similar iDictionary interface. So we are just trying to contrast collection base with a dictionary interface. Which allows you items to be indexed via a key value, such as a string. So in other words, I can access the values not using an index but using a key, which can be a string and so on. All right. And then rather than an index, as we saw in the collection base. This is also achieved using an indexer, although here the indexer parameter used is a key associated with a stored item. So you store in two things here, a key and a value. So you can access an object via its key and it will tell you the value, or via a key you will be able to get a detailed description of the object. Right, and we are saying that this is achieved also using an indexer, although here the indexer parameter used is a key associated with a stored item rather than an index, which makes the collection a lot more user friendly. All right. As with indexed collections, there is a base class you can use to simplify the implementation of the iDictionary interface that inherits from the collection base. This class also implements iEnumerable and iCollection, providing the basic collection manipulation capabilities that are the same for any collection. So it also has some interfaces that we can use, as much as we looked at the collection base with the very same attributes. Dictionary base, like collection base, implements some but not all of the members obtained through its supported interfaces. Like iCollection, the clear and the count members are implemented, although the remove at isn't, because it's a method on the iList interface and doesn't appear on the iDictionary interface. iDictionary does, however, have a remove method, which is one of the methods you should implement in a custom collection class based on the dictionary base. Very, very important that we understand the theory behind all this. Now let us try to code what they are saying there, and in order not to confuse you, I'm going to remove any additional methods we had in there. So I'm going to remove this, I'm going to remove that, and let me just check Camtasia, everything is still alright. And what else am I going to remove there? We are no longer inheriting from the collection base. Very good. So what are we inheriting from now? The dictionary base. So we looked at the collection base. This time we are inheriting from the dictionary base. Very important that we understand all this. And now how do I create my methods, the remove and the add? and we will just see in a moment. So I'm not going to add in there, I'm just going to add them right on top here. So I can have a public, remember it is a method, I want to have access to this when I'm outside of this class. It will return void, and I'm going to call this add. Now the add method, remember, accepts two things: a key, a string key, a string key, and a value. But now I'm not going to use a string value in here. No, what I'm going to do there, in fact, I'm not even going to use a key there. Let me have a descriptive name which I can call a new ID, and then in here I'm going to accept an object of type animal, and this will be a new animal. Very, very important. And then I'm going to use the fat arrow there. Now I'm going to say dictionary dot, and then inside of the dictionary there is a method that we call the add method that accepts a new ID and which also accepts a new animal. Very, very important that we understand that. So this is something very similar to what we did in a collection base, but here we are using a dictionary. In the collection based we used a list, remember that. So one thing that we are going to do there, so we store them together, what, a key and a value. Very important. So this will be of type string, it's an int, and then this will be my animal, which will be a new animal. Very, very important that we understand that. What is this now? So we said add new ID, comma, and an animal, an instance of animal there. So this will be the add method that I have. Okay, and then I can have a public that returns void, and I can call this a remove method. Now the remove method works in a different way. It doesn't accept a key and a value, it only accepts one argument. So let me pass in here a string which I will call an animal ID, and then when I am there I will say dictionary dot remove, and I want us to hover over here. Let me just do this. Sorry, let me just come here. Now what does it do? It gets the list of elements contained in the dictionary base instance. It returns an iDictionary representing the dictionary base instance itself. So this one returns an object, and all of the information that is contained inside, it removes that. Sorry, it returns this. So remember, this is the remove method. So this remove method accepts an object and it removes permanently that object from there. So that is why we say new and then we say animal ID. So it is very, very important that we understand that. So sorry, animal ID. So what you are doing in here, when you pass in a string in here as a key, it will go to that instance and it will remove it if it is found. But how do you do that? You just pass in the name, one attribute of that object. For example, here when we store in a key and a value, for example, let's say we have a string name and we have our object here, and maybe the object accepts maybe three things. So via a key, a string, what will it do? It will just remove that object, because what is this now? It's an instance, and it says animal is not null here as a reference that it is an object. So this one, when you input in a string, it removes that object from the dictionary that you have. I think it is important that we understand that. So this is the add and the remove methods that I have. Right, do I have a default constructor? That is true. And then let me also have an indexer. Remember, we also said we have an indexer in here, which has a return and a get and a set, but it works in a little bit more differently from the collection base index that we saw. So it will be public also, and then remember it will be of type animal, so you will pass in an object there. And then remember, we use the keyword with these types of brackets. And then this time, instead of saying that our indexer is an int, we are saying that it is a string now. And then what is that? That will be the animal ID. Remember, it is a property, so it will have a get that will return. Now what will it return? Now casting is also important here. It will be of type animal, and we say dictionary, very important. We say dictionary, and then we say animal ID. Very, very important. So it will get remember, animal ID, what is this? It is a string. Very, very important. And then it will set, sorry, and then what will it set? The dictionary, and then animal ID is equals to a value that you will pass in there. So this is highly and highly important that we try to understand that. So what are we saying now in the get and the set? Okay, you will say public, very important. It will accept an object of type animal, and then inside of your brackets there you will have a string ID. Very important. So you will access that object via a string. So it will get, you need to cast there, you will need to specify maybe chicken, and then you will specify the ID. It will get that set, and then you will specify the ID, and then it will assign that to the object that you have. I think this will become clear as we work inside of the main there. So I think we have pretty much everything that we want. And now it's time to go inside of our main, and then let us just have some reading that might just help us in this, so that we at least understand what is happening. Let me just come in here and let us just read something. The add method that we see there takes in two parameters. We can see it takes in a key and a value to store together. The dictionary collection has a member called dictionary, which is inherited from the dictionary base. Where is it? There it is. Which is an iDictionary interface. So it's an interface. When you inherit from that, you must provide an implementation for that. This interface has its own add, method which takes two object parameters. Your implementation takes a string value as a key and an animal object as the data to store alongside this key. And this is exactly what we saw. I tried to explain that. And then we implemented the remove method. It takes in a key parameter rather than an object reference. There it is. And we tried to explain also that the item with the key value specified is removed. So we are removing a specified object using a key, a string or whatever the key may be. And then we also implemented an indexer. An indexer there. An indexer uses a string key value. Let us look into that. Where is our indexer? There it is. And it uses a string key value rather than an index, which is used to access the stored item via the dictionary inherited member. And that is very, very true. Again, casting is necessary here. We saw that, and I tried to explain everything that has to do with that. Now, there are also iterators in there. Now, earlier in this chapter, you saw that the IEnumerable interface enables you to use the for each loops. It's often beneficial to use your classes in for each loops, not just collection classes such as those shown in the previous sections. And we have been using a for each loop almost in many tutorials that we've been having. However, overriding this behavior or providing your own custom implementation of it is not always simple. To illustrate that, they speak about a lot of things. So collection.object.getEnumerator is called, which returns many things that we do not want to talk about. Now, I think they have explained much of what is happening here, which is very important. And then I think it's time for us to now go and play inside of the main. And then before we go there, it is very important that we read the iterators and the collections. Earlier, you were promised an explanation of how the iterators can be used to iterate over the objects stored in a dictionary type collection without having to deal with the dictionary item objects. Okay, that is fine. We are more than pleased with their explanation. Now, there's just one more thing that we have to add inside here. Something very important that might help us in our code. And you are going to see that just in few minutes. So there is something very important that we need to add inside of our code. Now, first of all, we are going to have this IEnumerator, and I think I could have read that for you so that you understand exactly what that is. Now, let me just see this information and see how they explain things so that I can explain them for you. They say collection object dot get enumerator a method is called, which returns an IEnumerator reference. This method is available through implementation of the IEnumerable interface, although this is optional. Now, the move next method is the method returned IEnumerator interface is called. If move next method returns true, then the current property of the IEnumerator interface is used to get a reference to an object which is used in your for loop. Okay, that is fine. And then how do we do that? How do we do that? That is the question of interest. Okay, I think it will be very clear when we continue with this. So there's just a piece of code that I want us to add in here, and we are going to say public, and then we say new, and then we say I enumerable. Very, very important. And then we say get I enumerable. In fact, I enumerator. Let me say new I enumerator. Sorry, I enumerator, and then we have a get enumerator, and it is a method that accepts no arguments. And then what does this method does? This method, via a for each loop, it is able to do the following. So it is of type object, and I will call this animal in dictionary dot values. So I'm going to access whatever object via a value. You can do this via a key if you want. Let me show you. You can do this via a key, or you can do this via a value. That is your choice, right? And then from there, what is it that you say? Okay, we can just get rid of these brackets. We do not need them, but let's just have them, and then it will yield. Very important, there is a yield there. It will yield, and then you say return, and then casting is important there. Animal, it will be of type animal, and I'm calling this animal. Very, very important. There it is. So remember dictionary dot values in that, and then it keeps on adding to that, right? Is this all? That is the question that we need to ask ourselves. Is that all what we need? Oh, sorry, let me do this there. It will be of type animal. Very, very important. And I think I'm going to explain exactly what is going on there. So this is a piece of code that we need very much. So public new I enumerator get enumerator. It is a method that accepts no argument. It will loop through. It accepts an object of type animal in your dictionary of values, and then what it will do, it will yield return the, you need to cast here that animal. Very, very important that we understand that, but I'm going to explain that, I believe, as we continue in our code. I think I am going to explain that. I just want to explain what is happening there so that we just try to understand. So let me just look very quickly. We are saying the following: to iterate over a class, use a method called get enumerator. So get enumerator allows us to iterate over a class. Very, very important. And why are we declaring this method inside of animal? It's because chicken and cow inherit from animal, and again animal inherits from the dictionary base. So this public method, well, it will be as if it is inside of them, so they will have access to that. So we are saying to iterate over a class, we use a method called the get enumerator, with a return type I enumerate. Very important. And then to iterate over a class member such as a method, we use I enumerable. Very, very important that we understand that. Within an iterator block, you select the values to be used in your for each loop by using the yield keyword. Very, very important. Within an iterator block, which block is that? Here it is. You select the values to be used in the for each loop by using the yield keyword. Highly and highly important that we understand that. All right. And then how do we try to implement this mlotshwa makeba inside of our main? This is the question of interest that we need to look into. How do we do that? Okay, let me just try to check. Let me just quickly scroll through so that we may see exactly how we can implement that. How we can implement that. Right, what I can do, okay, let me just try to check if there's any other thing that we can do. Unfortunately, there is nothing. So what we can do, we can go inside of our main in here, and we can create an instance of animal. I can come here and say animal. Let me call this animal dictionary equals new animal. Right, the default constructor will be used there. Now I want to add some objects inside of my inside of my dictionary. So I'm going to say animal dictionary dot, and I know that I have a method there that is called add, and the add accepts a key and a value. Very, very important. Now because the objects that I have or the classes chicken and cow, because they inherit from animal, the fact of the matter is I will have to have a string there which I can call Noah, and secondly I need to have an object. So let me have a chicken, but a chicken also accepts a string which I will also call Noah. I will also call no. So I have new. Let me just reserve memory for that. I'm very sorry. So I'm having a key and a value which is of type animal. It's an object. Right, I can also say animal dictionary dot add, and I can have a string Andrea, comma, I can say new cow, and I will use the very same name Andrea. So I have a key and a value there. So can I iterate through this and then see whether these objects have been added? But before I can do that, let me just have a console.writeLine that just tells me how many objects do I have there. So there are let me just use interpolation. So let's just say there are animal dictionary dot. Do we have access to count? Very good. There are 2 objects in your animal dictionary. Very important. So let's just run that and see whether the objects have been successfully added inside of our animal dictionary in there. Okay, can I just see whether Camtasia is still doing the work? Very good. So let's just wait for this to run and see if it is true. There are two objects in your animal dictionary. So just to be very sure, let's just have a for each loop. And then what am I going to do there? I'm going to use the var. Let me just say a in animal dictionary. Alright, and then what I'm going to say there is to have a console.writeLine. I'm going to use interpolation. I'm going to say a dot to string, sorry, a dot to string objects were added in your animal dictionary, and then I'm going to say name equals, and I'm going to say a dot. Do I have access to name in here? There's a problem. I want to access the name now, and I'm having a very serious problem with that, because when I say a and I use the dot, there's a problem. So what if I say animal dictionary dot? Do I have access to name? Yes, I do. Very important that we understand that. So let us see whether this will be a compile time or a runtime error, or whether it is not. And things are very successful. Collection based on chicken objects were added in your animal dictionary. The name equals that. So the names, it seems like those names were not printed out. Why were these names not printed out? There's a problem there. I don't have that. Okay, that is fine. That is fine. Let's just for now pin it like that, and then we accept that it did not do what we want. So what if I can come here and say a dot? Do I have any access to some of the methods and so on? No, I don't. Okay, can I go outside and say animal dictionary dot? Do I have access to feed? Of course, there it is. So again here, I'm not specifying which object has been fed here. I'm just saying go inside of my animal dictionary and execute this method feed. Whether this method is from the chicken or cow, let's see whether it will be successful in doing so. And there it says the unknown has been fed. Okay, so let us see whether the problem is in here or what. Do we have some constructors in here? Yes, there they are. The name is assigned to that. Let's go to chicken. The very same thing is happening. And let's go to cow. The very same thing is happening. Now, I want you to check something in here. When I try to traverse inside of this dictionary, I'm having a problem. Even if when I say dictionary.feed, I don't have those names. So what is one way of solving that? Now let us go inside of our animal, and we saw that the add method has been successful, so we are done with that. Let us go and look at the remove, which accepts a string ID. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say animal dictionary dot, and now I'm calling in the remove method, and it shows you that now it accepts a string animal ID, and I'm going to remove no. So I am passing in that, and then to see whether it has been removed successful, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to run this. I had two objects. I removed one object via a string, and now there's only one object in your animal dictionary. So the first one and the second one have been achieved successfully. We understand exactly what is happening here. Now I want to come in here, public animal this, and then I want to pass a string ID, and then it will get that or it will set that. So now I'm going to have a problem here because I do not have an actual instance of cow or chicken. So in order to demonstrate this, I'm going to come here and I am going to do the following. I'm going to say chicken, and I'm going to call this chicken equals new chicken, and I'm going to pass in a string there, Noah, and now I'm going to come in here, and now I'm going to add chicken. Right, so we are fine. So I'm going to come here. We are here, remember, public animal this. So it is a public property there. So I'm going to have an instance chicken dot, and there is a method there called this. And now I want to take you in here. Now here this accepts a string animal ID. So there I'm going to pass, for example, do I have a chicken there? Yes, it's no. Okay, and then what do I do in there? Now the dictionary takes in that ID, string ID it gets, and it returns, you need to cast there, it returns an animal dictionary ID. So what can I do there? Can I do this, or will I have a problem there? Oh, sorry, let's just get rid of this. So when you try to do that, you run across some errors. There is an error there. So how do I do this in the right way? What should I do there? Let's go and check. Here you are. You have an object this, you pass in a string, and then it will get that, and it returns an object. So so what do we do in here? Let me come here, and then I'm going to use the dot there. So when I use the dot, can I say dot name? Can I do this? Will it work? Let's just wait and see. It says no issues found, but there is an issue there. Only assign and so on. All right, can I say chicken Noah dot name is equals to no? Can I do this? Is it making any sense? Chicken Noah dot name equals that. And then when I have access to this property, what will it do? Right, the name there, it's Noah, and let me change the name there to Lee and see whether this will work. And the only way to find out if that has successfully worked, let me run through using a for each loop. Right, so I'm just going to say for each, and I'm going to say var I in animal dictionary, and I'm just going to say let me have just a console write line and just say name is, then I'm going to use concatenation, and then I'm going to say I dot, do I have access to those names there? It seems like we have a problem. It seems like we have a problem. So in order to run through inside there, I need to use an I enumerator. I need to use an I enumerator there. So that's exactly what I need to use. So the question is, how do I use that? I need to use an I enumerator there. And then the question will be, how do I do it? Now, this is how we are going to try and achieve this inside of our main here. So what I'm going to do, let me do this. So in order to run through our loop there, we are going to say, okay, let me use interpolation. I'm going to say new, and then I'm going to say I dot to string. In fact I don't have okay, that's fine, dot to string. Let me just leave it. This is what I'm going to say. Object added to our, let's say it's a custom collection, very important. And then I'm going to say name is equals to, and then when I am there, what is it that I'm going to say? I'm just going to say I dot, and we are having a problem there. We are having a problem there. Let me not use the var. Oh, that is why we had a problem there. I used a var. I should have used animal. Ay, Jesus. I'm very sorry, guys. That is why we couldn't do that. I'm very sorry. Eish, I am so sorry, guys. I shouldn't have used var there. I should have used an animal. I'm very sorry, guys. Please forgive me. I am deeply sorry with that, honestly. So let us just run through here and see whether honestly the name from Noah will be changed to Lee. So there's something that I want to remove. No, I don't want to do that. Let's not remove that. So let us just try to run this. We have an exception. Okay, that is fine. There are two objects on your animal dictionary. Let me just fix that very quickly, because we don't have to run this, right? And then from there, what was the problem here? I think this is what caused an error there. All right, let us just also comment that. Let us just run this very quickly. So here we are. The name is Andrea and the name is Noah. So the reason why it was not able to print out those names is because I used a wrong name there, and I'm very sorry for that. I just wasn't aware, so I might as well just get rid of this. Right, so using a for each loop, I'm able to traverse inside of my dictionary, and I'm able to print out the names of the objects that I have inside there, which is a very good thing. Highly very good. So what else is it that we want to do inside there? What else do you think that we might be interested in doing inside there? So in order to be able, for example, let's go and say we want to have access to that enumerator get enumeration that will be able to loop inside, which accepts an object, and then dictionary.values, and then it will yield and return whatever that we want there. So we can access this via a value or via a key that will be our choice.